Hello, my friends. AmyR here with Prairie Paper and Ink. Welcome back to my face and my card making space, and a couple more Christmas cards for this year's holiday card series. This time I went a little more traditional in the sense of colors and whatnot, and this is also one that can be mass produced quite easily. I used the Honeybee Stamps Good Tidings stamp set. I did a release and review video of their holiday release some time ago. I'll have a link to it at the end of the video in the end screen, along with a link to my holiday 2023 playlist that I'll keep adding to as I get videos up. Anyway, there's a stamp set, a coordinating die set, and a coordinating stencil layering set. So you can use the stencil set to skip having to do any coloring. So that's what I used today. This would have been a really fun one though to do like watercoloring, color with markers, etc. But the beauty of stencils is it's quick, easy, you get great results. So that's what I used, along with an embossing folder and a little bit of bling. I actually, used a bit that I tend to hoard when it comes to Honeybee's bling. But if you keep watching, I will show you guys exactly how I made these cards. I decided to gold heat emboss this Good Tidings image onto some panels of Simon Says Stamps smooth white cardstock. So I've got my MISTI here, the cardstock, got the stamp lined up, and then I'm putting anti-static powder onto these panels of white cardstock so that I can heat emboss them. This just helps prevent the embossing powder from clinging to anything but the stamped image. And then I'm going to ink up this stamp with clear embossing ink, and I'm going to stamp it more than once to make sure I get all of that detail onto the cardstock. And I have to tilt it in the light because when you're stamping with clear embossing ink on white cardstock, you can't really see anything. Then coating it with Simon's Detail Gold embossing powder, and then repeating the process. And if I was making more than two, I would just keep doing this over and over again. You could also skip the gold heat embossing and just stamp this in black ink, or it would look really nice stamped in brown ink, like a really dark brown, like the VersaFine Pine Cone or Fallen Leaves. That would look really nice as well. But you guys know I love me some gold, so that's what I decided to use. So did the exact same thing with the second panel, anti-static powder, inked up the stamp, stamped it a couple times with the clear embossing ink, coated it with the gold embossing powder, tapped off the excess, and then melt with my heat tool. And I do all of the heat embossing at the same time. If I was doing even more than two, I would still do them all at the same time within reason. If you're doing like a whole batch of these, I'd probably only do a few, mostly because unless you've got like tons of extra space, I'd end up knocking the embossing powder off, so usually I can do a handful before it's like, okay, I need to deal with this. So after they were heat embossed, I pulled up my big Waffle Flower grip mat. You don't need this for the stenciling. However, these panels are a little bit warped because of that heat embossing. So the grip mat is just holding the cardstock in place for me so that I don't have to, fight against that. And then the stencils layered. They've got the layers numbered. I didn't go I think there's 6 layers altogether. I didn't start with number 1. Number 1's actually the little pine parts, which I want to do a dark green ink with. And I wanted to start with my lightest green because I'm using the same blending brush for all of it. And I'm using Simon Says Stamps Pawsitively Saturated Inks for the greens. And these are the newest greens that were just released earlier. Was it earlier this month? Yeah, something like that. This first one is Cabbage. And lined up this stencil, and this just does all of these holly type leaves here. And so just blend it on and then move the stencil to the second panel. And like I said, if I was doing multiples, I would just do one after another, after another, after another, bang them all out, get them done. Then this next stencil adds just a detail portion to all these leaves. So I lined that up, and I'm going with my medium shade of ink, which is Artichoke Positively Saturated Ink. And same thing, just using the exact same blending brush, because working from lightest to darkest just means I don't have to wipe my brush off in between colors. It just makes my life easier. So now I'm going back to the first stencil, which is going to do those little pine branches. And this one I'm using my darkest shade of green ink, which is Kale. And blending over that with the stencil, and then doing the exact same thing to the second panel. I've sped this up in editing, but like I said, like this didn't take very long. I don't know. There was something so satisfying too. I love seeing everything come together, especially when there's little extra detail bits like there are for the leaves and whatnot. And then for the pine cones, I used cappuccino ink. So blended that on. You could just leave this as is, like go on to the next, the stencils for the berries. However, I wanted to add a little bit extra, like shading, a little bit extra depth. So after I blended on the cappuccino ink, I'm going to keep the stencil in place, and I grabbed my little Waffle Flower shader 1+ brushes, and I'm using mocha ink, which is just a darker brown, and I'm just kind of blending that around sort of the bottom edges of these pine cones. This is all gonna like smooth out too, so it doesn't need to be perfect. It's gonna like soften, it's gonna soften back, dry back a bit. It's not gonna be as dark as it looks when it's wet, and it's just gonna soften, and it's just gonna be good. So just a little, like one little extra step, but for me, I think it's kind of worth it. It just gives that little extra something. And then for the berries, I pulled out Simon's Rainbow Splash inks. I did a video not too long ago. I was swatching the new Pawsitively saturated colors as well as the Rainbow Splash colors. And there's 2 shades of red in the Rainbow Splash line that the Pawsitively saturated collection doesn't have. Like they're warmer and somewhat lighter shades. So I'm using Crimson first, was like the base of these berries, and then this final stencil that adds a little detail bit, and I'm using Scarlet ink, and it just again gives it that little extra something. So once I'm done with all my blending, these are done. So I'm going to use the coordinating wafer dies to die cut these out, and I'm going to tape the wafer die into place with just washi tape so that this doesn't shift when I run it through my die cut machine. So I'm just going to get it lined up just like so, and then tape it into place. And then I'm going to die cut this with my Platinum 6 machine from Spellbinders. I don't often show, the die cutting on camera because more often than not, I can't fit my die cut machine. I have too much stuff going on. But I'm also going to do some embossing. So I'm going to die cut these panels first because I've got everything out, and again, lined up the wafer die, taped it into place. Oh, another idea I had, just FYI, if you wanted to go clean and simple, you could do just a simple white card base, heat emboss that image onto it with the gold embossing powder, maybe add a little bit of splatter, because you guys know, add your sentiment, you're done. Like gold on white, clean, simple, chef's kiss perfection. If I had more time in the day, I would, do these things, but that was another idea I had. Anyway, for the embossing, I am using Honeybee's Snowy Pines 3D embossing folder. And for the Honeybee brand of embossing folders, I have the new platform set up from Spellbinders, and I just follow the instructions on that for embossing folders. And that works for my machine, and it just works. You have to kind of fiddle. Like even with like manufacturer suggestions, etc., like this just fits in my machine. I use the A plate, the B plate, the folder with the cardstock that I've sprayed with a bit of water. That's why I had my flour sack cloth out. I spray the cardstock with water. That softens the fibers so that they emboss better and don't crack. And then a cutting plate. And you can see there, I kind of struggled with the second one because it just, like I said, it just goes through my machine. Do not force it. You might have to fiddle, add a shim of just cardstock, different things, because every machine is different. Every manufacturer, like different machines. So you just got to figure out what works. But this is the standard sandwich option from the Spellbinders with the new platform is what works for me and the Honeybee folders. So after I emboss these panels, and the detail, it's just amazing. I trimmed them down to 3 3/4 by 5 inches. And then I put them into my spot box along with the images that I had heat embossed and stenciled. And I'm going to add splatter, of course, using my Gansai Tombi Starry Colors. This time I'm going with the shade they call Blue Gold. It's just, this one's actually like the closest match to Simon's Gold embossing powder. So just a touch more subtle than the more brighter gold I use from the middle of the palette. There is a difference. There really is. So anyway, I had already added water to it off camera, and then you saw me swirling my fan brush in it to like really mix up the water with the metallic watercolor until, you know, I got the consistency I wanted, and then splattered all these very liberally because they're Christmas cards and you can never have too much splatter. It just makes me happy. So after I added the splatter, I let those dry. And then for my sentiments, I pulled out a piece of lipstick red cardstock, used my anti-static powder tool on that as well. And then I'm going to stamp one of the sentiments from that Good Tidings stamp set. And I'm going to stamp it with clear embossing ink and stamping it multiple times because I'm not pressing very hard because these sentiments are very detailed, like just kind of delicate. So stamped it, covered it with that same gold embossing powder, flipped the cardstock around, did the same thing. So I've got 2 of them, covered that with the gold embossing powder. Then I'm going to melt that with my heat tool. After these are melted, I'm going to use the coordinating wafer dies for the sentiments as well, because the die set's got the wafer die for the image, and then of course wafer dies for all of the sentiments, which I love. And off camera, I also stamped and heat embossed more sentiments for the insides of the cards. And then I didn't film me adding the twine. I thought I did. And then when I was going through all my footage, it's like, nope, but I filmed me paying bills and, you know, doing menial tasks. I could have included that. It's super exciting footage. I honestly don't know. I don't know. So anyway, I wrapped baker's twine around those panels, tied them in a bow. You can see my reverse tweezers there. I've shown it a million times in videos. I just, yep. Some days I do not know where my brain is. So added the baker's twine. That was why I did the splattering of everything separate, because I knew I wanted to add baker's twine and I wanted to be able to adhere these panels on top. So splatter, let it dry, added the baker's twine, adhered the main images with Simon's Big Mama foam tape, leaving like a gap where the twine is. And then the sentiments I adhered with just a little scrap of that same foam tape, as well as some craft tacky glue. So just kind of put the foam tape onto the portion of the sentiment that's going to hang over the main image there. So it gives it that little bit of stability. And then put the craft tacky glue on the rest of the sentiment and then press it into place onto my card fronts. So once I've got the sentiments adhered into place, just like so, just kind of tucked it under the little like bows and tails of the baker's twine. Once I've got those into place, I'd also trimmed some of that same lipstick red cardstock to slightly larger than these in backgrounds, like these panels. And I'm going to adhere them together again with just craft tacky glue. And this is also why I love using liquid glue, because it gives me wiggle room. Because sometimes lining things up, especially when I'm layering, you know, panels, matting them, etc., I need wiggle room. I need a few seconds to be able to like shift things and get them lined up. So I did that. And then I used my oldie but goodie, trusted, recent favorite again, the Tim Holtz paper distresser and thread cutter to rough up these edges, because I love the look of it. I love the roughed up texture it gives, you know, it just adds that extra something. So I ran all around this lipstick red cardstock with this little tool. You can also use, like I've shown, using like the edge of your scissors. You can technically use your fingernails. I don't recommend it. I did damage actually to my fingernails doing that. So hence me using the tool that, you know, was designed for it. So anywho, roughed up those edges. My cardstock for the bases of my cards is Nina Desert Storm cardstock. Cut the sheet in half, and then I'm scoring them at 5.5 inches. So these will be top folding A2 note cards, so 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches. So I scored those at 5.5 with my Teflon bone folder, reinforce that. Then I put the card bases back into my MISTI, and I'm going to stamp that main image from the Good Tidings set. Got that lined up, like just so it's just off the edge of the card base. And I'm going to stamp it with that cappuccino ink, so that lighter brown ink that I used for the stenciling. So I'm going to stamp that onto the inside of both of these cards. So usually I would go even lighter, like I would use Simon's like latte ink for this, but I wanted it to stand out a little bit more. However, I will write right over this. Even when I use slightly darker inks, etc., it's with the intention that I'll write over this when I fill out the card. So stamp those into place, and then I had stamped and heat embossed 2 more sentiments from that same stamp set onto that lipstick red cardstock, die cut it with the coordinating wafer dies, and then adhered that to the insides of both of these cards. Once those were adhered into place, I can then adhere my card fronts to the card bases, again just using some craft tacky glue. Once the card fronts are adhered into place, technically you could be done, but of course I'm going to add bling, as is tradition. So get those card fronts adhered onto the card bases, and then I'm using the Honeybee Holiday Wishes pearl stickers, and these are self-adhesive. I just use my little die pick. I just peel them off with that and put them, and then you just press them into place, and that's it. So simple. And like I said in the intro, I do hoard these. I can't help it. They're so pretty in their packaging. But I use some, so yay me. So just adhered a few onto both of these card fronts, and once I've got these popped into place, these cards will be complete. So like I mentioned also in the intro, I will have a link to the release and review video I did. I will also link, even though it'll be in the playlist, I did those snowflake cards like last week or whenever it was, using some of the other new Honeybee products. So I'll have a direct link to that video in the end screen as well, with of course the playlist with all the videos I've done so far for my holiday card series, and I'll just keep adding to it as I get videos up, so you can check that out at the end. And then below the video in the description box, I will have a link to my blog post. In the blog post are the pictures, picture links, etc., along with the supply list. Everything is in the description box directly below the video for you guys to check out if you are interested. Thank you all so very much for taking the time to watch my videos, for thumbs upping, commenting, subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you all very soon in the next one. Bye.